Welcome back everyone to our gameplay series of Pure Farming 2018. So automatically you can tell that things look a little bit different here. We have the starting equipment in the sheds, and the field over here is barren. No plowed, no cultivating, no sowing, no any of that. And that is because we are indeed at a fresh start. And you can see at the top of the screen, it is 7:03, which is I have just spawned into a brand new world. And the reason I did that there's actually a few reasons. First, the developers issued their first update and bug fixes today. So I actually had 2 videos already planned to be released both today and as well as tomorrow on Saturday. However, with these updates, as well as some things that I have found in playing the game, I thought this was a great opportunity for us to get a fresh start. So first and foremost, several updates, one of which, if you look at the top of the screen, you'll notice that the time is going to go by much slower. And that is because what is the X1 or the ×1 right now is real time, meaning that 1 minute in the game is now equal to 1 minute in real time. Prior, that was the equivalent of 24 times speed. And of course, we had seen that so far in our gameplay where we were running out of daylight and running out of time to get everything done. So now we are on real time, and what I plan to do is we'll play on real time until we get everything done that we need to get done for that particular game day, and then we'll simply fast forward and crank this thing up and move on to the next day, and then we'll keep going from there. And then eventually, as we continue to expand our operations, we'll eventually hit a limit of how much we can get done in one day. But by then, we will have a lot of gameplay under our belt and probably have quite an expansive farming empire. Another reason is, as I continued on with the gameplay, some glaring issues became apparent with the worker AI. And of course, it's imperative that we use the worker AI because that enables us to do other things while the farm work and the field work is being done for us by the worker. So basically, it enables us to multiply our efforts. Well, whenever you get to particularly the harvester, the combine, it does some crazy things. It starts out okay, but then as it gets close to being full and needs to be emptied, instead of just staying still on the field until I come to empty it, it starts driving around all over the place. And in fact, I was having to chase it down on foot because I needed to actually enter the combine so that it would dismiss the worker and stop it. And in one case, when I was actually working on this field, or the worker was working on that field with the combine, then the combine was actually over there closer to the silo, so I had to run it down on foot, stop it, get everything back in place, empty the combine, and then try to get the worker going back again. And that was just more effort than I think we're ready for in this series. So what I decided to do, let's just get a fresh start. Let's go in a different direction, and let's give the developers time to work through some of the bugs with that, because they are very aware of the issue and are working to fix it. So we'll simply give them some time to do so while we go in a different direction. So now you might be thinking, okay, what direction is that? Because we had been working, in addition to the fields, we had spent a lot of time with greenhouses. Well, the greenhouses have some issues too that we've already seen, and that is they take a lot of time. You have to spend a lot of time refilling the fertilizer and the water. So they got some work to do on that as well. But I'm really glad that we got an opportunity to see those, because the direction I want to go now is with orchards and also the animals. So in our brief tour, as we've been moving around we've seen that right over in the area of the rabbits, which we dealt with before, there's also a cow barn, and then also a little bit farther down, there is a pigsty. And of course, there are multiple of those around the map. So I want to get into those as well. So we need to get started, and you can tell that some of the issues with the graphics are still there, and I have continued to experiment and turn down things overall in the graphics settings, but they're still there, so it's going to take some more time for the developers to work through some more of that and do some more optimization. So we're just going to have to do our best with that, the best we can. So what we need to do first is we need to sell some of these starter vehicles and attachments, and we need to purchase some different ones. Okay, so we're going to start out by actually heading down to the store. And I am going to head straight down to the road, and then we're going to head over to the store. So we're going to start off with orchards and with the animals. Okay, and I must admit, one of the wonderful things about this update is indeed the time, because seeing it going across in real time as opposed to very quickly is very nice to see. Another thing is the steering sensitivity. When you're using the keyboard and mouse, as I am right now, there were some issues where the steering was extremely sensitive. I've now lowered that quite a bit, as our new friend there wanted to honk at us. So I have turned down the steering sensitivity, so I'm going to have to get used to this sensitivity. So I'm barely touching this thing now to try to get it to turn. Now, we've seen in the past our truck is already a very, very sensitive steering vehicle, so we'll see a better indication of that whenever we get to more things such as the tractors and seeing how it affects that. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the buy menu, and we're actually going to start off by selling some things. We're going to start off selling our basic trailer. Now, we could actually use this in the orchards, but we're going to get something that has much higher capacity. Okay, so let's go ahead and sell that. We don't need the sower. We don't need the cultivator, at least for now. We don't need the plow. We're going to keep the vehicle weight. We don't need the header, and we don't need our harvester. Okay, we're obviously going to keep our medium tractor. We're actually going to sell this one. We might actually be able to use that very basic tractor, but we're actually going to get something a little bit different. Okay, so now we have three pieces of equipment. We have our front weight for our tractor, and then we have our truck. So now it's time to purchase a few of the things that we need. Okay, let's see. What do we want to do? Let's get, and we see we've got a few options here for the trailers, but I'm going to choose this particular trailer because it has a 16-ton capacity. So that's the biggest capacity of the three initial trailers that we see here. So we're going to purchase that one. Okay, and then I'm going to come out of here for just a second. And let's see, let's go over, well, you can see this thing is quite a bit bigger than what we've been dealing with, but of course it has quite a bit more capacity too. So this should be a very nice addition for our orchards, and of course the idea is to cut down on the number of trips that we have to make to sell all of the fruit that we're able to harvest. Okay, so let's pull up the map and see something. All right, so if I click on this, do I have a way of teleporting it? I do not see a way of teleporting it right now. I may be wrong, though. Okay, we'll come back to that. So if worse comes to worse, we'll simply have to come back over here and pick this up with the tractor. But, and that's not the end of the world if we have to do that. But we'll continue to look for a way around that because I believe there is. All right, let's go back under buying. And so now we've got something to haul around our produce, but we need something for watering. And previously we had been using the basic water tank with about 1.5 on the number of gallons. Now we're going to double that. Okay, 1,500 rather than 1.5, obviously. But so that's going to cost us $10,000. A little cheaper because we're actually here purchasing it than it normally would if we were just purchasing it while we were at the farm. So we've got that one. And let's actually back out here for just a second. And sure enough, There it is. Okay, good shape so far. And we need one more piece of equipment, and it's under the other tab. And so here we go. We need a sprayer. Now this is an orchard sprayer, and in the back it's got nozzles on all of the sides, so it can spray basically in a 180-degree pattern into the air and actually hit trees on both sides of it. So that makes it very efficient for spraying in our orchards. So let's go ahead and purchase that. Okay, let's get out of here. All right, so where are we headed now? Well, now we need to head over to the orchards that we're going to purchase. And for that, we need to take a look at our map. So if we sort of zoom out a little bit and scroll, all right, here's where we are currently, sort of in the top right-hand corner of the screen. Here is our base of operations, our main farm area. Where we're headed is right over here where we have two orchards next to each other. And I chose these two because there are others on the map that we'll get to hopefully as we continue to expand. But the reason I chose this location to start is because there is a shed right nearby where we can actually get refill our sprayer. There is a water tank nearby where we can refill our water. And there is a gas station nearby where we can refuel. Which brings me to another part of the updates that the developers have released. We now have the ability to greatly reduce the amount of fuel that is being used. Prior to the update, it was a lot of fuel being used, and there were reports from some folks that whenever they were actually working in the fields, they would have to stop halfway through working in the field and go refuel, because even though they had started with a full tank, it was still draining it that quickly. So right now we're using 1/8 of the previous fuel, and that's simply so that I can get it out of the way and we don't have to deal with it as much. And we can obviously change that in the future if we need to, but for now we're simply going to go with that. So where we need to go is over to this area. And in order to do that, I'm going to press E and put down a marker, and that brings me to the mini map and another one of the updates that is part of this. We should be able to go page up to zoom out and then page down on the keyboard to zoom in. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Okay, that's as far as I can go. So we'll take that. Let's actually hop back in to our truck. And we are going to work our way around. So the steering sensitivity is something I'm going to have to get used to. The truck is very hard to control anyway, just from the way it works. Okay, let's head back up toward the farm. There's one of the orchards I was talking about that we hope to expand to in the future. Let's see. Let's go ahead and just stay sort of on this path. And I'm going to try to take a few shortcuts to get over there a little bit quicker. Let's see. Oh, I went the wrong way. That'll still work, and you can see there are still the issues with the graphics as it tries to load in the world, but we're not going to worry a whole lot about that. We know they're there. The developers are working on stuff, so we're simply going to give them some time and let them do their work. Over here to the left, you can see spots for wind turbines, which again is something else we want to get to in the future. And here we are. So right ahead of us, let's actually go out to the road for just a second. Out ahead of us, you can see here is the first orchard that we're going to be working with. And then right down next to it, you can see the building and then another water tank. There is the second orchard. Okay, so for now, we're actually going to pull in here because we need to purchase. There we go. We've now purchased this shed. It only cost us $3 grand, so it's not a huge deal there. Okay, next up, we want to purchase these orchards, and we do so by simply driving over to them. And once we get to them, you can see in the bottom sort of left-hand corner, it tells us we can press B to buy it for $85,000. We'll do just that. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with the second orchard, and there we go. Our prompt shows up on the screen. We'll buy this one for $65,000. All right, so now let's give it one quick try because I want to see. All right, I can teleport to this myself, but I don't want to teleport right now. I'm not in anything, and of course, I'm already standing next to it for one thing. But I would really like to be able to teleport equipment over, but I don't know that that is possible after I click on that. Okay, so it looks like we're going to have to do this the hard way. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pause the video, and then we will cut and come back once I have all of the equipment over here, so you guys don't have to worry about seeing me drive everything all the way over to the shed. All right, so we're back, and I have gotten nearly everything in place, but then I realized as I was doing that there was still one thing that we hadn't purchased that we need, and that is we need a light tractor to actually work with our sprayer. So we're going to come back in here, and this is a tractor that we're familiar with. And we'll go under tractors, and we'll go all the way to the bottom. And again, the first one is free in the free play mode. So we'll go ahead and buy this one. And after that, they're only $12,500. And these light tractors are very, very handy. Let's see. Actually, let's go ahead and get a weight for this thing too. I usually forget to do that. Let's see. Loaders and weights. Let's see. There is a weight. That's for mediums and heavy. Let's see. Here's one. This is for tractor light. Okay, good. That's what we want. Wow, look at this one. That is a huge weight. Okay, so we're going to buy this one, $250. Okay, and we've got what we need. And just to give you an update on moving around the map and teleporting, it works exactly the way I thought it did. I know you can teleport yourself and then any equipment that you might have attached. That wasn't the issue. I was hoping that I could simply teleport various attachments, like I could click on that weight and actually teleport it to another shed somewhere, but unfortunately you can't do that. But it wasn't that big a deal. You can always teleport back here to the trade center and in fact do that free of charge, I believe, because I didn't see any pop-up. Alright, so now that we have everything attached that we're going to need, I'm going to pull up the map, and now we're going to teleport rather than drive. And there we go. So we're going to click on the shed. It's in green because we own it. And then over to the left under the menu, you can see teleport is F, and this will teleport us and our attachment. Let's see, where did our attachment go? It's here somewhere. Where is it thrown it? There it is, right over there to the side. Unfortunately, it gets rid of your attachments. It puts them in line here, but now we have everything we need. So now it's time to see what we need to do. So I'm going to press V, and we're going to go under functionalities and notifications, and you can see there's nothing for us that's ready to be harvested, but it says pear orchard number 1. It needs water and it needs sprinkling, mentioning the sprayer, and then the same thing for number 2. Okay, and then we'll get to the animals after this. So what we need to do first is, wow, they don't give us very much room. There we go. Let's see if we can back our way in here. And hopefully the game is kind to us. Yes, it is. If we just get in the neighborhood, it will allow it to attach. Okay. And then our sprayer, you notice that there is now a new model sitting over here, where before we had the bag fertilizer and the liquid fertilizer. Now we have a pesticide tank right next to it. Just to keep things simple, you can always purchase the pesticide from this location, but now it just makes things a little bit easier because we have a separate 3D model sitting there. Woo, watch out. I'm freaking out the game. Alright, so now we are full. We're simply going to, good gracious alive. I'll tell you what, let's start up here at the front. We'll start on this particular orchard. Then whenever we get done with the spraying, we'll take care of the water requirements. And that'll take care of that. Alright, so let's go ahead and swing our way around. Okay, there is no worker available to do this task right now, which is perfectly fine with me. Let's turn on our sprayer, and we're simply going to head down, and you can see the percentage going up on the right hand side of the screen. So we'll work our way down, and yes, this is the fastest you can go while spraying. I cannot speed this thing up. I am going as fast as it will let me go. The building you see there to the left with the yellow circle out in front, that's actually storage. So if we decide we're not quite ready to sell as soon as we get done harvesting, then we have the option to, let's see, did I get the last ones? No, I did not. Turn off the sprayer a little bit too soon. If you look in the mini map, let's actually go ahead and zoom back in. You can see that there will be a blue icon over them whenever you get to the end. The reason I was trying to turn it off is you can see it's going to be a little difficult to swing around. And I'm going to do these separately, these orchards separately for now. At some point in the future, hopefully we'll be able to combine these. And I'll be able to figure out a good route to just simply work my way through both without getting myself confused about where I am. Because we don't need to go down every aisle here. Because we are spraying both sides, we need to go down every other aisle. And again, you can see we're a little over halfway done spraying this particular orchard. And we'll keep an eye out for how much of the pesticide is being used, so we'll know how often we're going to need to. There we go. So now let's go down this final aisle. And that should get us up to 100%, or at least 99 or 98 or so. We'll see if it actually gets all the way to 100. I've seen in some testing where it gets to 100 most of the time, but not necessarily all of the time. The good news is we don't really have to worry about that. Okay, we're in good shape. And let's finish off this very last bit. Okay, so we're done. We're now reached 100%. Let's go ahead and start. And I believe we're going to have enough pesticide to go ahead and finish off this one as well without having to go back and refill, even though refilling isn't very far away. So we'll go ahead and tackle this orchard while we're here. So the good thing about orchards is they don't require a whole lot of upkeep. And in fact, they require even less upkeep if you get rain, because rain keeps the water level at basically at or around 100%. So that helps with how often you have to refill the water tank. So once we get this done, we won't have to spray again for 3 days, because that's how long it will take for the harvest. Okay, let's go ahead and turn off. And let's see, let's make sure we get on the right lane here. And also make sure that we get all of the trees. And the way I'm doing that, again, is to look in the bottom left-hand corner at the mini-map and make sure those blue water icons, the water drops, show up there. If they show up over each of the trees, that means you have have gotten those taken care of. All right, let's zoom out a little bit here. Another one of the updates is they have allowed you a wider range to zoom. Okay, let's turn off the sprayer. Make sure we get lined up properly. Okay, yeah, I like this zoomed out view a little bit better. Makes it easier to see what's around us and what exactly we're doing in our progress. All right, so over halfway done here. And you can see we're going to have one more row to go down. But yeah, this particular light tractor is absolutely perfect for this. It is very inexpensive and is the perfect size to handle this particular job. Okay, there we go. And in the orchard, whenever our fruits are done, they will show up in that box right over there, which is a little misleading because what shows up in that box can be, depending on the yield, can be a good bit more than what we have space in our trailer for. So the size is a little bit misleading. Okay, so far so good. We're at 85%. All right, there we go. I think this worked out pretty good. All right, so we made it all the way through without having to refill. All right, while I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and head over and refill our pesticide while I'm thinking about it. So both of our fields, both of our orchards are now done. So for now, I'm just going to go over and park our tractor there. Let's hop out and get into our second tractor, the medium tractor, and we'll hook up the water tank. Again, you can see they don't give you a whole lot of room here. Oh, looks like I backed up a little bit too much. We ran over the water tank. Hopefully we didn't puncture it. All right, so now we will head over to pick up the water we need. Whew. Some more stutters there. All right, and thankfully it is not very far. So what we'll need to do is we'll head over to the water filling station, and we'll come back, and actually these gray water tanks will actually be filling those up. We don't actually have to go down the lanes of the orchard and spray using our tank. Thankfully, all we have to do is fill up the water tank that is nearby the orchard, and it will take care of the rest with sprinklers. And in fact, you probably saw some of the sprinklers as we were driving down the different aisles of the orchard, because they stick up out of the ground at different locations. Okay, at some point we will want to upgrade our medium tractor, so hopefully we can get it going a little bit faster when carrying a full load in this water tank. But for now, we are going the least expensive route. Okay, here we go. Get this thing stopped, and we'll fill it up. And of course, now we've got twice the capacity as what we were working with initially in our playthrough. Let's see, is there a shorter way back over there? I wish. But other than cutting through the field, it looks like this is about it. You can see we're definitely not setting any land speed records with this particular tractor, and I'm hoping eventually, as we start to upgrade some of our equipment, that we'll be able to upgrade to a more powerful tractor, even still in the medium class, and be able to go a little bit faster. But the good news is you don't use near as much water as you might think in the orchards once you get up and running. And what I mean by that is you're going to use a lot of water in order to get the initial water level up for the orchard, but then after that the upkeep of the orchard is much less. Okay, so let's go ahead and transfer the contents over. Okay, you can see it didn't quite take all of it. And let's go ahead and spin around and take the shortest distance back to fill up our water for the other one. But then you'll see the sprinklers will start to activate here shortly on this particular orchard, and that will use up a good bit of the initial water that we provided, so we'll need to fill it up again in fairly short order. And of course we'll keep a track on our tablet as to the status of our orchards and when they might need some assistance from us. But the general rule of the orchards seems to be, in my experience so far, that you spray after each harvest. So at the beginning of the next growth, you'll spray then, and that'll be the only time. So once every 3 days, we'll spray those. And then the water, assuming it doesn't rain, which again, as I mentioned earlier, is a huge help to you on the water side of things, but assuming it doesn't rain, then I've seen that we could get by with even less than once every 3 days in some instances. But again, it just depends on how low you want to allow the water level to go before you refill it. In our case, we'll probably refill it about every 3 days, at least, after we get things up and running. But we're going to be stretched pretty thin as we continue going, because I want to, as well as these two orchards, I mentioned that we're going to get into the animals, so we'll be headed back to our main farm location to take care of that as soon as we get done here with the watering of the orchards and making sure that everything is a go for things to get started. Alright, so if you notice, the water level right now shows as 0, but the water storage is at 100%. Once the sprinklers start going in the orchard, that will change. And that's when we'll need to come back down and refill our water storage. Alright, here we go. I'm actually going to try to take a little different angle at this one. If I can. Can I turn? Can I make this corner? Yes, I can. Let's transfer the contents over. Okay, so now let's go back into our menu, functionalities, notifications. Alright, so it says the water level is off right now. We'll keep an eye on that because we've seen that. That just simply means that the sprinklers haven't turned on yet and it's not raining. So, alright, we'll go over here, and once again, we're just going to park for right now. I don't want to use, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I don't want to use these sheds as standard storage, because that is where we can get new equipment dropped off. Okay, so now we're actually going to hop back in the truck, and if we pull up the map, you can see that if we head straight ahead from where we're facing and then take a left, we'll be right over to the area where we want to be. In fact, you can see it over sort of in the distance there. Woo, look out. Coming around these corners, and I know the graphics definitely don't like that. Okay, so here we are. We are back on the property, and let's actually go and park sort of right between the two places we're going to be headed. We'll start out over here on the cow barn, and then we'll head over to the pigsty. Alright, come on, hang in there, game. Hang in there. Another thing I believe the developers are working on, it didn't make it into this update, but making us be able to move around more, and also to jump some of these small fences so we don't find ourselves hemmed in. Alright, so here we are at the cow barn for $25,000. This will be level 1, capacity of 10 cows. So let's back up a little bit and let that take place. Alright, there we go. And let's see if it'll let me go ahead and upgrade. Yes, let's go ahead and upgrade 50 more thousand. And you can see the capacity goes from 10 to 45, so that is a huge jump. And I'm going to go ahead and move out of the way, because that building's going to get a little bit close. There you can see the railing. And so now we have a much larger area. And of course you see our milk silo there. So now we have two things we need to do. Of course we haven't purchased any calves yet. So let's go ahead and do that. And unfortunately I have to keep spamming the button. And we're going to purchase all 45. You can see our money coming down. We have 33,000 left. And there are our calves. We'll take a little bit closer look at them later. But now we need to feed them something. Well, the game allows you to bring grass over, or silage over, and feed them that way. Or you can go the simple route and simply pay for the fodder right here at the location. So we're going to actually max this out. We will not need to have it maxed out. These will grow to adult cows in 3 days. And we will not need all of that fodder to get us 3 days. You can see how much we paid, $4,800. We'll need about half that. So about $2,400. If we wanted to save that, again, we could use our fields and grow the necessary grass. So we are fully maxed out, and we are in the calf business right now. Oh, come on, game. There you go. So there's, you can see the models of the calves, and they do move around some. A little bit robotic, not quite as smooth as you might like. And let's see if it shows any back here. Oh, good gracious. Yeah, there they go. So we can show some additional ones back here in the pasture where the milking machine is. So these will start producing milk at day 3, I believe it is, but we're probably going to be selling these off at day 3 at the very beginning. All right, so now we have just enough money to actually purchase the pigs. But I don't know that we're going to have quite enough money to purchase them. Wow, it really does not like this area over here at all. The freezes are real. Okay, so let's go ahead and purchase it. If nothing else, we'll have this done. So capacity is 10 here. The upgrade here isn't quite as lucrative as the cow barn, because you don't get up to 45 on the upgrade, that's for sure. Okay, let's go ahead and buy some animals at $65 a piece. So we'll definitely have enough to purchase 10 of those. All right, now we need to get the fodder. So again, here you can actually provide potatoes to feed these, or we can go with the ready-made fodder, which is exactly what we're going to do. And let's see, let's use all that we have money for. I don't think we have enough money to max it out, do we? Okay, nope, not quite. All right, we had enough for 66%, but again, that should be plenty to get us through the first 3 days. All right, so now if we click on V, come back into our notifications, we're good to go. So now you see that in 3 days' time, our cow barn and our pigsty will be ready to pick up the animals and deliver those for sale. In our case, we're not going to do that right now, particularly because that would be more equipment than we'd have to purchase. We're not ready to do that. So we're going to actually sell these remotely, which is going to be done through the shop and then selling animals. So we'll do it in here like we did with the rabbits. So we'll come back under notifications, and you can see it still says the water level is low, but that's nothing we can do anything about right now. Okay, so we're actually going to work our way back over to our truck, and then we'll work our way over to the house so that we can fast forward time once it becomes nighttime. And before that, we'll simply speed up the time, because you can see we've used every bit of the money that we had available, but we've gotten a lot done with it. Okay, there we go. And we're actually going to leave our truck right in this area. For now, we'll hop out. And so I'm actually going to speed up the time. You can see in the top left-hand corner, as I press the L button, time is speeding up, and you can see how fast it's going now at 600 times. So basically that took us an hour and a half in real time to take care of everything that we needed to do. So it wasn't very long at all, and in fact it will take even less time going forward because we won't have to worry about selling equipment, buying new equipment, transporting equipment, and all of that type of thing. So we have to wait until 17 o'clock if you want to go 24 hours. We'll have to wait until then for the fast forward to be active, and it will turn blue right in front of us in front of the house. Actually, there's something else that I've been meaning to show you guys, and I forgot initially as we're coming up on that 17 o'clock right now. Or 1700. All right, there we go. So now we've made it where we need to. And you can actually go inside the house. Now, unfortunately, there's not really anything you can do while you're in here. Can't really sit down in the chairs or anything, but it does look quite nice in here. Looks like they definitely spent some time on this. And see, you can get the developer's name up there on the TV. Got a nice fireplace going. So, not bad at all. But I have been meaning to show you guys that, and just hadn't gotten around to it yet. All right, so here we go. Now we can fast forward and sleep through the night. We'll press Q to accept that. And this will bring us to 7 o'clock on day 2. Excuse me, 6 o'clock on day 2. So we'll move out of that area just a little bit. And you can see the calendar has swapped over to day 2. It's a nice, bright, sunshiny day here in the early morning. And we'll press V, get back in to functionalities and notifications. And now you can see everything is fine. So we've got 2 more days before we need to do anything. So that gives you an idea of how little time you're going to have to spend on the animals. So what I'm going to do now is actually back out of this and start the time going again. But this is a good time for us to call it a video. So I think we've had a really successful video here because we got a lot done. But again, the main thing I wanted to show you is the new direction that we're going in, some of the updates and bug fixes that the developers have gotten into the game so far. And of course, a lot more work to be done, but we're going to try to be patient with them. And I'm having quite a bit of fun here, but with this new direction that we're going, you can see just how little work we're going to have to do for upkeep as opposed to, and in very much direct contrast to, what we were having to spend on the greenhouses. I mean, it is a huge difference on the greenhouses. All we're going to have to do for the orchards is a little bit of update on the water from time to time, and of course we'll have to spray every time there is a new harvest. But other than that, we're in good shape. All right, so we're almost to 17 o'clock, we'll call it 017. And now we will move back over and we'll end the video sleeping through the night. So thank you very much for joining me, and stay tuned for more as we continue our gameplay series of Pure Farming 2018.